Hey guys, Renee here, and you probably can already tell because I'm talking to the camera instead of standing behind it that this video is going to be a little bit different than what I normally do here. I get a lot of questions in comments and emails and tweets all the time about collecting Pokemon cards. So many of the same questions, and I figured I should just make a video and try and answer as many of those questions and give you guys as many tips as I can think of about collecting cards. In fact, I even have this list on my iPad here, a lot of things I want to talk about, so let's just do that so that I don't start rambling. So if you want to collect Pokemon cards, the first thing that you probably want to figure out is what exactly you want to collect. There's no right or wrong, there's no rule book for like what you need to collect when you're collecting Pokemon cards. It comes down to preference. And knowing what you want as your end goal can make collecting a little bit easier for you. So for example, I collect sets, I collect regular sets as they come out. I'm not a big fan of collecting sets that are, older and no longer in print. And on occasion I collect the promo sets, whether they are like McDonald's promo sets or just like Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Black and White, X and Y promos, whatever. So that's what I like to collect. So if you know what you want to collect, it's going to make it a lot easier for you, and that's going to become a little bit clearer as I continue on. So once you figure out what it is exactly you want to collect, you can then start thinking about what it is you need to buy. And my biggest suggestion, honestly, is buying booster boxes. Not everyone's going to want to collect the sets, complete sets, but most people do, and if you do, your best bet is honestly to buy a booster box. It's definitely more expensive up front, but in the end it's going to pay off because you're going to get better ratios. You're going to not have to worry about buying each individual ultra rare or whatever because you have a much greater chance of pulling those in your booster box. I don't want to get like into the ratio stuff too much or whatever, but buying in bulk is always going to be more beneficial than buying, a single blister pack here and there from Walmart or whatever. One thing you're going to want to keep in mind with the booster boxes is that the prices are going to fluctuate a little bit depending on a few different variants. One being how recent the set is. That's going to be the biggest variant. If it's a really old set that is no longer in print, it's going to be super expensive. So people are always commenting on my channel like, hey, why don't you collect a base set? You should open some base set packs. You should complete the base set. I don't really have an interest in it, but it's also really expensive. Another example is Skyridge is probably my favorite set to date, and it's one of the only two sets that I ever collected, like I ever completed, outside of what was currently available to me at the time. That's just because it was one of my favorite sets. When I first looked into it, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, the boxes were going for about $250, which is pretty expensive to begin with. But today,